Hello, we're at Unit 5, Formative 1. This is day 1 of factoring. We're going to be looking for GCF, our greatest common factor. Remember, factors are numbers that will go into other numbers. For example, we have 12 here, so factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Okay. Factors of 14 are 1, 2, 7, and 14. Now, if we wanted the greatest common factor between the two, we'd look for the largest number they have in common, which is 2. So the GCF between 12 and 14 is 2. Okay. All right, what happens when there's variables? Okay. So first of all, 36 and 48. The largest number that will go into 36 and 48 is 12. Okay. Now, with variables, this one has 2 x's and this one has 1 x. Okay, so you look at how many they have in common. Well, they each have 1 x. Okay, so 12x would be your GCF. Okay, so basically, the easy way to look at it, it's the lowest exponent. Okay, for example, if we had 2x to the third and 4x to the fourth. Okay, the GCF, largest number that will go into both of those is 2, and the exponent is x to the third because 3 is smaller than 4. All right, let's do some problems. Okay, all right. This is a polynomial, and we're going to factor out a greatest common factor. So again, this is the opposite of distributing. Right? So we want to find a number that will go into 6x and 12. So the largest number that will go into 6x and 12 is 6. Okay? And they both don't have an x, so you can't factor an x out. Okay? Now, what you're doing is you're factoring out, so that's dividing. So it's like taking 6x and dividing by 6. And we get an x, or a 1x. Okay, bring down my plus. Now if I have 12 and I factor 6 out, which is the same thing as dividing, I'm left with 2. So my answer is 6, parentheses x plus 2. How you can check your work is to distribute. What's 6 times x? Is 6x. And then 6 times 2 is 12. So you go right back to your answer. All right, let's look at the next one. First of all, there's a leading negative, so we know we're going to factor out a negative. So we need to look at 5, 25, and 45. What number will go into all of those? And it is a 5. Okay, now there's a leading negative, so I'm going to factor a negative out. Now let's look at the variables. We have x squared, x to the third, and x. So the number they all have in common, or how many x's they all have in common, is 1. So I'm going to factor 1x out. So that's going to be outside my parentheses. Now remember, it is like taking negative 5x and dividing it into each one of these terms. So we have negative 5 divided by 5 is 1. And if we have x squared and we divide x, we have 1x left over. Remember, when you're dividing, you subtract your exponents. Okay. Now 25 divided by negative 5 is negative 5. Okay, I have 3 x's, x to the third over x, which gives me x to the second. And then I have negative 45 over negative 5, which is a positive 9, and my x's cancel. Okay, so we can move this over some. Parentheses, we don't have that one anymore, don't worry about that. Okay, so now checking your work, you can go ahead and distribute and make sure you end up with the same answer. Are the beginning questions. So negative 5x times x is negative 5x squared. Okay, negative 5x times a negative 5x squared is a positive 25x to the third. And negative 5x times 9 is negative 45x. And that is the original problem. All right, let's look at another one. All right, so we have negative 12x to the third, y to the third, minus 24xy. Plus 36y to the squared. So look at numbers first. So 12, 24, and 36. What is the largest number that will go into those three? And it's 12. But remember, we have a leading negative, so we're going to factor out a negative 12. Okay, so that's like dividing everything by negative 12. Now let's take a look at our x's. This has an x to the third, this has an x, and this doesn't have an x, so we cannot factor out any x's. Okay, every term has to have it in order to factor it out. Now let's look at the y's. We have y to the third, y, and y to the second. So y to the first, Okay, is the lowest exponent, so we're going to factor out a y to the first. Okay, and then every term is going to get divided by that. Those cancel, left with 1, and we have x to the third, and then we have y to the third over y, which is y to the second. Alright, now we have a negative 24 divided by negative 12. That is a positive 2. And then our y's cancel, and we're left with an x there. Now we have 36 divided by negative 12, which is negative 3. Alright, we have y to the second over y, which is y. Okay, and now we can distribute to check our answer. Negative 12 times 1 is negative 12. Y, so we have x to the third, y to the third. Negative 12 times negative 24xy. And then negative 12 times negative 3 is a positive 36y to the second. And that's our problem, so we did them correctly. Guys, have a great day.